Meantime, let's head over now to the fixed income market. Kubi Momo, head of market risk at UBA, is standing by. Thank you so much, Kubi, for joining us. Thank you so much, Kubi, for joining us. Now let's take a look. Starting off with the Naira. Well, it looks like the Naira is still hovering above 160 Naira to the greenback, even though we've seen some softening in demand at the central bank's forex window. Could you tell us why this is persistent?
Well, the Naira is actually above 161, closed today at about 161.19 and opened the week above 161, 161.25 in the interbank market. We think there's still demand coming through in the interbank. There are some transactions that can't settle through the central bank window, so they'll settle through the autonomous market, like repatriation of investment inflows, and we've seen some bit of repatriation in the last few months of 2013. So that could be responsible for the continued pressure on the Naira in the autonomous market. But for the CBN window, in terms of demand that can go through that window, CBN has been very comfortably meeting up with demand. Sometimes what they're offering is even more than what is demanded. They offered 300 million for the last few months at every single auction, and we've been seeing demand maybe between 240, 290, sometimes 300 million.
Now, we've also seen the Naira getting some support from dollar sales from local units of multinational oil companies. Shouldn't that have also provided some support for the currency?
It does. In fact, that's what keeps the currency from weakening further. But again, there's demand. So if there's demand, there's supply, and the Naira seems to have firmed at these levels, which is slightly above 161 in the interbank and a bit higher than that in the parallel markets.
Okay, let's get your outlook for the Naira for the rest of the week. It looks like this might persist, but then again, we might have a turnaround of some sort. But let's leave that to you. Do you think we could see that happening before the end of the week?
Well, we've had the last WDAS. The last WDAS was today. Demand was 290. CBN isn't likely to come into the market for any interventions. So the next CBN cycle is next week, Monday. So it's likely the Naira will stay at these levels or weaken. It depends. If there's some significant oil company flows, it may strengthen, but it was likely to stay around these levels for the rest of the week.
Well, let's talk about market liquidity conditions. I understand that liquidity is still tight at the interbank, of course, pending the release of the funds from the Federal Accounts and Allocation Committee. What can you tell us about that?
Well, liquidity actually tightened today. Ever since the cash reserve requirements were changed, whereby 50% of parastatal funds are sterilized, rates have generally trended up. We've been seeing 14%. We saw rates go as high as 22% when the new policy became effective. As at today, we also saw quite a spike in rates. We saw 20% again. I think market closed slightly lower than those levels, but we've seen a significant rise in interest rates. Market has been tight, and it will remain tight until those statutory allocations start to come in.